Hi, this is Pastor Mike. Last Wednesday, August the 5th, at the City Commission meeting in front of the Mayor and the City Commission, I made some comments. Now, at the end of the meeting, Commissioner Woods and Commissioner Gideon made some comments about homeless advocates and not knowing what they're talking about and putting out misinformation and so on, which I didn't have a chance to respond to because of the rules. Now, what I'm going to do is play the Commissioner's comments, and then after that, I'll attempt to respond. There's also some other footage about some proposed solutions and why some of the things that the Commissioner said weren't accurate, and I responded to those. All right, so God bless.
I still have one more weekend on the West Coast with my kids because they're coming down. But I have to tell you, being down there for 3 weeks, Sarasota, if you missed the news that they made the international news too, that everybody has problems with homeless issues and how to handle them. It's certainly not unique, to this city, and they're very, very visible in their downtown core areas, probably more so than ours. But it's a challenge, for everywhere. I want to talk a little bit about homeless now from the standpoint of what the city does do, because I hear speakers get up over and over again and put out information that's not correct. Food. At North Street, there's a hot meal given every single day. There are numerous food pantries throughout the city. Halifax Urban Ministries gives out food and food bags. Our Lady of Lourdes Church, and I could go on and on and on, in which there is food in this city every single day. Does it maybe not meet the need? But the fact is it does go on, and the city permits and allows it to go on. The city of Daytona Beach has permitted over the years over 200 shelter beds in the city of Daytona Beach alone. Shelter beds that can be used for homeless. How those agencies choose to use those beds may be the conversation that the advocates in the community need to be having with them. The Salvation Army alone is permitted for 124 shelter beds right now, today, in this city. If the priority for people in this community and those that speak to us every week is that those beds be used in another manner than what they're using them for, then I think the conversation needs to be with those nonprofits. The concern about day treatment or a day facility for the homeless, right now on North Street, it is part of their permit, and they are allowed to have that on site at their facility. This city granted that years ago. Again, if they choose not to use it for that, it should not be back on us. We have permitted, we allow those services in this city. This city commission for years has funded and continues to fund the streets team, which is for chronically homeless, primarily men. And we put funding in that every single year with the Salvation Army to provide shelter and work for them. We're doing it in all the redevelopment areas. Again, we are putting the money in. We are permitting and providing services. If it's not seen as enough, then the conversation should be with the nonprofits that have been given the permits by this city to provide those services. We are allowing it to take place. We are not hindering anyone, and we have put city funds in. And maybe we need to get a report from Salvation Army on how many we've served over the years and the funding that we have put in over the years as well, if people have a question about that. I think that's probably, no. The other thing I want to say is when we talk about the services people need and the homeless that come to us and speak, we all have compassion and feel for them. I think every one of us up here feels so strongly about wanting to do something. But providing beds, it's not enough. The case management is a piece that has to take place with that. That is part of the Marbit plan. It needs to be there. I know people are saying we still need the beds. I'm saying to you the beds are permitted in the city, and the conversation should be with those agencies that have been given them for permit. And that's it. So.
Thank you.
Good comments, Pam.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And Ouija, nice comments earlier today, too. Yeah, it's amazing to me how little these people understand about what the city has done over the years and what we're doing now. All the other cities do almost nothing. We do tons, and we get yelled at. It's almost embarrassing. On Safe Harbor, I think there's an important observation we need to make at this point. That formula for funding did not include the people who live in unincorporated Volusia County. You lose Deltona and Port Orange, you're up to about 40% of the population. it's a point where the amount of contribution that we required by the others, if everybody stayed in, is going to be not feasible. So we're going to need to start looking. I know Jim's talked about some legislation to do a food and beverage tax that could be used for funding operations. I think that's a nice long-term initiative, but we're going to need to start thinking about, since we've got people that may not participate, what is our plan be going to be? I'm not sure yet, but the more heads we have working on it, the better likelihood that we can find something.
All right, now we're pulling down, I believe it's San Juan. Okay, we might have a little bit of NIMBY, not in my backyard. This property was the former Lloyd Buick Cadillac property, and it's been vacant for several years. I've just heard through the grapevine that the city had turned down a proposal to open up a senior housing or assisted living facility, and I don't understand why that would be a problem. So, but anyway, I'm going to take you to what I call the back 40 of the property. All right, these houses over here, but I think they're rental properties. But there may be a little not in my backyard, but you know what? Here's an area right here that's already fenced. It's already got some privacy panels in here. It's overgrown, but that could be mitigated, and it's already on a slab. So we could put a tension fabric disaster recovery structure up here, bring in utilities, and this would be another location. Of course, we would have to contact the property owner, see if we can provide him with a certificate of insurance, ask him if they would lease it to us for 12 to 18 months, to use this location. And it's another area where the Zone 3 commissioner, would probably not be in favor of this location. But you know what? It's better than what we're doing now. What is the lesser of the two evils, really, Commissioner? Is it better to have the downtown merchants, constantly calling you and emailing you and complaining about the homeless, or are you going to let me take care of them in a location that makes sense? All right, so we're going to keep going. All right, now we're approaching the North Street area. We always have a core of people that are here, getting out of the sun under the trees. This is a sore spot, for the neighborhood, and also for the police department, because in fairness to the police department, they have to deal with this. And I don't know what to say other than I want to fix it. I want to help the city in doing something in this population. We don't have a solution right now, and we're trying to get one, but it's it seems to be something that's hard for us to put together. All right, so this is the old Daytona Outreach Center. Now, yes, this yellow one right here was Daytona Outreach Center. Now they've got approximately 1.5 acres, 2 acres that's fenced in next to them. This is in the CRA, the redevelopment district, and it would be almost impossible to get an exemption. These are the famous no trespassing signs that were put up on private property, and that's what pushed everybody out to Ridgewood. So that was a real brilliant idea on the part of the police department. But there's the property owner is very interested in selling this house, the 2 acres, and the 2 properties that are on Ridgewood. But if the city's not going to let us do anything, now this is right in the core area of social services in the North Street area. So North Street seems to be the only thing they'll let us have. So why don't you let us maybe expand the footprint a little bit Okay, so anyway, you know, this is speaking directly to Commissioner Woods. This is the 340 North Street location where the 94 beds are. The 94 beds. Now they say they're permitted for 250 beds. So the question is, you know, where would you put? Now, Salvation Army, all of this is owned by the Volusia Flagler Coalition for the Homeless. And Halifax Urban Ministry, Salvation Army, and the Second Harvest Food Bank all rent this property. So if this is all taken up by the Homeless Assistance Center, the Homeless Assistance Center and the Star Shelter for families, the 94 beds, I don't see where Commissioner Woods is saying that we could put additional beds in this area. This is at capacity, so I don't know where we could put it. We could possibly put it in the parking lot of the Bridge of Hope, the dining room area, but I don't think that would work. I think we'd have a parking issue. This is the Second Harvest Food Bank right here. This is the this is the Bridge of Hope. Okay. All right, Pastor Mike, picking it up. We're over on the in the North Street location. These are the My Place apartments on this side. So these are separate apartments. It's not an option right there. Now I've reset my trip odometer. All right, now with the no trespassing signs. Theoretically, after the meal is served and the parking lot is closed, the only place for the homeless to congregate or get out of the sun would be under those trees, and everybody's complaining about that. Now, so if you know, Commissioner, you're making a big deal out of everybody getting a free meal from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. So with all of the no trespassing signs available and the propensity of the police department to move people along, what happens is that you have to, let's say that the appropriate location right now is the City Island Library. It's legal and it's cool, and you can charge your cell phone. You can get on a computer, and that's
park, only in the library.
In the library I'm talking about. So here we're right at a half a mile right now from the North Street location. So now imagine it's a 100-degree heat index day, and you're carrying a backpack, and you don't have water unless I met up with you and gave you a bottle of water, and I'm trying to do that as much as I can, especially here in the summer. So we'll go ahead and turn down, this is the Votran Bus Plaza. And again, here's the point that I'm making, is that the reason why, there's a concentration of homeless here is not because that you can get one plate of food a day. That's not it. It is because you have the concentration of facilities here in the Daytona Beach area. Here's where we have the bus plaza. Here's where we have the Justice Center. Here's where we have the courthouse annex. Here's where we have the library. Here's where Halifax Urban Ministries serves coffee in the morning. I don't know what you expect us to do. Now here we are, and it's coming up on a mile. So this would be somebody that would be carrying a backpack, 100-degree heat index, and going back to the library. So now today it's Saturday, and Pastor Tidwell and I will be cooperating on a group feeding. I provide water, he provides volunteers in food, and we have Saturday evening covered. We're trying to get other churches to participate in feeding at North Street. which is the only location that we are allowed to set up and feed, because we coordinated with Halifax Urban Ministries per the police chief's instructions to coordinate with social service agencies, and we have permission from Halifax Urban Ministries to distribute food at that location. Now we've just recently installed, or Halifax Urban Ministries did, a handicapped porta potty and also a regular porta potty. So we do have bathrooms now, and that was a big concern of mine for a while, that people didn't have anywhere to go to the bathroom. So we're right at so I don't know, it's 1.3, so a mile and a half, So everybody, you got to walk 3 miles round trip, to get that one plate of food. And for somebody
It's not very big either.
for somebody, well, yeah, it's the one plate of food. But that is talked about as something that's just such a bonanza for the homeless, that it's suggested that people, come from, miles around, that the police in Port Orange drop people off here, and the police from Ormond Beach drop people off here, because we have such of these fabulous services here, and that Daytona Beach is bearing the brunt of the homeless problem in Daytona Beach, and it's just a bunch of hooey, and I'm being charitable. All right, so here we go, and then here is where where they complain about that we use too much toilet paper, and Percy Williamson is put out because in the News Journal he was quoted as saying, unfortunately it's not a crime to be homeless. Well, I'm sorry about that. Maybe if he misses a few paychecks, maybe he could be homeless as well.
Oh, what's going on there?
Okay, we have the Special Olympics used in the park, and there's no problem with
No cop.
yeah, that's true. All right, well you can continue. I don't know what they keep parking this police cruiser here. I don't know why. I'll go over here and see. Again, this is probably, a impossibility. Hey, Joe. An impossibility to suggest that, that we could use, this end of the park and then delineate it somehow where the bathrooms could be kept open. And all right, so I guess to sum up is that Commissioner Woods, Commissioner White wasn't there at the last meeting, so I'm more concerned about Commissioner Gilliland and Commissioner Woods, saying that the city of Daytona Beach, does so much, and that they're so put upon or set upon by all of the, all of this unfair burden that they're experiencing. Well, Commissioner, I really don't know how to respond to that, because if you compare your life with the typical homeless person, there's just no comparison. And just in closing, I'll just say, you people, you're too comfortable. You live in a bubble. You go from one, air-conditioned car to an air-conditioned building, to your air-conditioned home. Okay, you're free from want. I'm not saying that you don't deserve it. Okay, but you have to be more sensitive to the needs that are less fortunate. And if you can call that being preachy, well then I would say I'm guilty as charged. So making this video, I just wanted to respond, to some of the comments that were made at the August the 5th City Commission meeting, and tell you that that I don't agree with your opinions, and we're going to be, myself and the other advocates for the homeless are going to be continuing to show up and speak up. And I'm not trying to be nasty or anything like that, but something needs to change. And the only way that you're going to get it to change, is to tell people and bring people to City Hall, meeting after meeting, week after week, to speak up for the homeless. God bless.